It's a critical intelligence debrief for you, analyst. We need to go deep on the source material for Titanverse Chronicles, Ep.01, The Emergence.
Absolutely essential. We're focusing on the classified records of the Tokyo event.
Right. And we're not here for the spectacular visuals that hit the public feeds. Our job is to extract the strategic intelligence, the hard data.
Because this event, the Tokyo event, it didn't just introduce Leviathan and Magmox, these two alpha-class threats. It fundamentally shattered GDF doctrine.
Shattered is the right word. Before this, well, the GDF was geared for containment, maybe defense against a known type of threat.
Exactly. Prepared for a war we thought we understood. But after episode 1.001, we realized the mission wasn't about winning anymore. It was about desperately scrambling to find our place, to stay relevant.
Our sources for this debrief center on those initial contact profiles. Leviathan, the Abyssal, Magmox, the Terran, and maybe even more importantly, the reactions, the psychological and analytical load on Tanaka, Rostova, and Thorn.
And the immediate philosophical bomb drop from this is maybe the hardest part to process: humanity. We weren't the target.
That's the core of it.
Yeah. We're reviewing the documentation that confirms how quickly and how painfully GDF Command realized they were collateral damage, caught in the middle of something ancient, something vast.
So our task here, for you analysts, is to move past the raw fear, the awe, and really understand the strategic calculus. Why did they arrive? What does it mean?
And to grasp that strategy, you really have to start with the raw sensory input, the data that basically overwhelmed our systems and senses right at the start.
Let's pinpoint the specifics. Leviathan's emergence off Tokyo Bay. It wasn't just big monster appears. Our sensors logged it as a false dawn.
A false dawn. That phrasing is just perfect, isn't it? Caused by this intense, almost unbearable bioluminescent cyan glow, like a new alien sun rising from the water.
But it wasn't just light. That's the critical distinction.
No, not at all. Embedded within that glow, the early reports flagged, and this is crucial, green flicker patterns form grammar-like phrases.
Grammar-like phrases. In the light itself.
Right. Alongside the visuals of its hydra-like fins and whip tendrils, articulating microcurrents in the water. This wasn't just some big beast thrashing around. This was, well, it felt like organized intelligence broadcasting its arrival. Structured energy output.
And that right there elevates the threat profile instantly. It's not just biological hazard, it's potentially state actor. Or something analogous.
The structure, the rhythm of that light, the implication that it was syntax, a repeatable system. That's the seed of the analytical terror that started gripping Tanaka's team.
Let's dig into that abyssal arrival profile a bit more. Leviathan. The physical specs alone are staggering.
They are. The source material notes the gargantuan serpentine body, clearly adapted for crushing abyssal pressures, and the sensory input capability. Multiple distributed eyes along cranial ridge and flanks.
Think about that. Distributed eyes. It's not perceiving like we do with a single focal point. It suggests panoramic awareness, maybe processing across multiple spectra simultaneously.
Total environmental awareness. Built for processing overwhelming amounts of data from every direction. It's a sensor platform as much as a physical entity. Far beyond our military focus on single targets.
And then there's that detail just before it fully surfaced, the physical warning.
Chilling. The data confirms. Water displacement precedes visible mass by seconds.
Let's just pause on that for a moment. You can't just gloss over that. The sheer force, the pressure wave it generated, was physically warping the water around it before GDF sensors could even get a visual lock on the main body.
The ocean itself was distorting as the warning.
Exactly. It announced itself through pressure, through a frequency that bent the environment. The documents describe this. Pulse-driven rune light surges from chest to crown in cascading rhythm.
It wasn't random flickering, it was rhythmic, structural, like a massive geological heartbeat driving the emergence, confirming this deep internal power source far beyond simple biology.
But the truly game-changing discovery, the one that became Dr. Thorne's focus later on, was that language of light, those rune patterns forming phrases.
Yes. This is where we shift from just identifying a threat to grappling with, well, the philosophy behind it. It confirms complex, systematic communication, not just roars and instinct. It suggests context, maybe even intent behind their actions.
Now hold that image, this mythic, organized, communicating force, and contrast it with the human response on the ground.
It's a brutal contrast. The source material details the collapse. The soundscape shifts almost instantly. From the mundane, the soft boy bell ding off-screen right, normal harbor sounds, to immediate emergency squawk sequences, evacuation PAs crackling to life, utter panic.
The speed of that failure is terrifying. Human systems, communication grids, rendered instantly obsolete. We went from normalcy to emergency broadcast in minutes. Fragile doesn't even begin to cover it.
Our infrastructure just wasn't built for something that communicates with deep-sea light and pressure waves.
And visually, the Titan didn't just appear, it imposed its reality onto the environment. The reports mention the light changing, the LUTs shifting, first abyss cyan Ts, then cyan intensifies.
And the detail. Cyan reflection, faintly visible on metallic pier surfaces. Its energy signature was literally rewriting the visual data of the city before it was fully corporeal. Our cameras were forced to register its presence first.
Right, so just as GDF Command is trying to process this single, overwhelming, abyssal entity.
Bam. The second one arrives. Magmox. And this is the pivot, the duality. This is what defines the Tokyo event and signals the true nature of the crisis.
Magmox, the Terran counterpoint. And its arrival isn't graceful or aquatic.
No, it's pure geological trauma. The source description is stark. The ground split open, just ripped apart, leading to this massive silhouette distorting the sea surface as if gravity itself bends.
Leviathan. Fluid, bioluminescent, serpentine. Magmox. Elemental, obsidian armor, molten core, a behemoth. The contrast is absolute.
But tactically, the single most critical detail, the one that feeds directly into Tanaka's analysis, is where Magmox directs its immediate attention, its aggression.
It tears itself out of the earth, right near Leviathan's emergence point.
But it's documented as roaring a challenge not at the city, but towards the sea, towards Leviathan.
That's the first definitive clue, the confirmation. The conflict isn't primarily with us, it's external to humanity. It's a direct challenge aimed at its rival.
Which confirms Tanaka's immediate, terrifying hypothesis. The rivalry is the event. The rivalry is the objective.
Okay, so this duality, this inherent rivalry, it throws us right into the GDF Command Center, the analytical engine room, and specifically to Dr. Kenji Tanaka. He becomes the embodiment of trying to force human logic onto this geological scale chaos.
Tanaka, the analyst. You have to understand his background, his trauma, to get his reaction. He's defined by that past failure, trusting flawed predictive models over intuition, leading to his protege's death in that volcanic eruption.
So that failure fuels this relentless, almost obsessive need to model the Titans, to predict them, turn them from incomprehensible forces into data points, solvable equations.
He presents as calm, yes, but it's a hyper-focused calm. He sees them not as monsters exactly, but as forces of nature to be modeled and predicted. It's a defense mechanism. If he can model it, predict it, he regains some measure of control over the chaos he couldn't stop before.
And the Tokyo event seems almost precision engineered to shatter that control. The command center footage, sensor chaos. We see the holographic reflection on his face, eyes tracking waveform oscillations. His world is pure, unpredictable vibration.
And then the seismic data spikes. The digital overlay flashes seismic origin, biological. That's the moment.
That's the moment his framework has to break.
Yes. It confirms the geological scale event is being driven by something living, organized, forcing his analytical mind to collapse and then rebuild itself around this new, impossible reality.
Which pushes him towards his defining insight. Scene 9 in the operational logs. He delivers that first chilling revelation, the one that changes GDF policy forever. Just a single line.
He states it so flatly, too. They aren't here for us, they are here for each other.
And that one sentence forces GDF Command, forces us to accept our utter irrelevance in the grand scheme. All the prep, all the doctrine.
Useless. We'd geared up for an invasion, assuming we were the prize or the target. Tanaka realizes we're just the environment, the furniture they're knocking over while they fight, caught in the crossfire of a conflict that predates human history.
But I wonder, does that horrifying realization also offer him a strange kind of comfort, a twisted sense of order?
How do you mean?
Well, if they are fighting each other, then their actions, however catastrophic for us, aren't random. They follow an internal logic, a rivalry, a pattern of engagement. So his need for order, for predictability, it's partially met. It's a geological war he's observing, maybe a resource conflict, not just mindless destruction aimed at humans.
That's actually a really sharp insight. The chaos gets boundaries. It has rules, even if they're Titan rules, not human rules.
Yeah.
His focus shifts from how do we defend to how do we model the interaction between these two geological forces.
And feeding into Tanaka's logical, data-driven revelation, you have the parallel analysis from Dr. Eris Thorne, coming at it from a completely different angle.
Thorne, the empath. Their whole approach is shaped by their trauma. That guilt over the deep-sea creature vivisection, realizing it was sentient as it died. It drives their focus towards communication, understanding, before resorting to lethal force. They want the why.
So while Tanaka's tracking seismic waves and energy signatures, Thorne is zeroing in on the signals. The patterns in the light, the pressure waves. The early visuals confirm it goggles reflecting a sine wave that resolves into organized glyphs.
They skip right past the noise assumption. They see structure immediately, pattern recognition.
And their data starts backing it up. Later analysis confirms the Titan's signal graphs actually synchronize for brief moments, forming a kind of harmonic interference lattice.
It's not just two signals broadcasting independently. They're interacting within a shared frequency space, responding to each other in a structured way. Predictable output, even amidst the violence.
Which leads Thorne to challenge the baseline assumption. Everyone else sees aggression, hears roars. Thorne hears something else.
Their insight. They're aligning frequencies, not fighting, Commander. It's dialogue.
Dialogue. Now, if Tanaka's right about the rivalry, Thorne suggests it's a highly structured rivalry. Maybe ritualistic. Or part of some larger system they're maintaining.
But here's the dissonance, right? If it's dialogue, if it's structured, why is the physical result the utter annihilation of Tokyo Harbor? The data implies communication, but the outcome is pure destruction. Is dialogue even the right word? Maybe synchronized aggression is more accurate.
That's the terrifying gray area the GDF now has to operate in. And Tanaka brings it together, that analytical synthesis in Scene 73, his observation. Then we're standing between a conversation we can't comprehend.
Yeah. The physical manifestation of their talk is a Category 5 disaster for us. It confirms the scale gap. We're literally less significant than the ambient noise generated by their interaction.
And that scientific analytical realization translates immediately into tactical failure, operational chaos, which brings us squarely to Major Eva Rostova.
The warrior.
Right.
She becomes the template for GDF command under these new, impossible conditions. Her response sets the tone.
Rostova is defined by her trauma, too. That civilian ferry incident. Hesitation costs lives. So her motto, her entire being is never hesitate again.
Absolutely. It dictates her immediate reaction. Aggressive defense. Identify threat. Eliminate threat. Decisively.
We see it clearly in the lead-up. Briefing her Aegis squadron. Preparing to execute Protocol 7 Alpha on Leviathan, the single identified threat at that moment. Her worldview is black and white. Find the enemy, destroy the enemy.
But the Tokyo event is fundamentally about shattering black and white thinking. That abort moment is critical.
She's lining up the shot, missile lock on Leviathan, the clear target, the decisive action she's trained for.
And then Magmox just erupts, rips through the Earth's crust directly in her attack vector.
The sheer unpredictability of Magmox's appearance is key. It confirms they operate on geological time, they can traverse the mantle and emerge anywhere, anytime. Human recon becomes almost meaningless.
And her HUD instantly flares with two massive hostile targets. Her core principle, decisive, singular action, is immediately nullified. How do you choose? Which one do you hit? Do you split fire?
Her decision to engage one threat is instantly rendered obsolete by the arrival of an equal opposite force. The logs show her shift is immediate, professional, even in the panic, from offense to pure survival mode.
And her final command to Aegis Squadron. That's the historical marker. The moment the GDF officially acknowledged the new reality, all Aegis units pull back. We are no longer the primary target.
Pull back, retreat. It's an admission that engagement is suicide. Their role shifts instantly from strike force to damage assessment, survival, data retrieval, if possible.
Her cockpit POV confirms it. She goes from calculating firing solutions to just dodging, trying to navigate the atmospheric wake, the sheer energy distortion caused by these two giants.
And later, the logs capture her crystallizing this new reality, that line. It says everything about humanity's new position.
We're flying between gods now.
Yeah. GDF pilots are no longer warriors in that moment. They're spectators desperately trying not to become collateral damage themselves. High-speed debris.
And the episode makes it clear, the source material is explicit. This event leaves a permanent mark on her, physically and psychologically. The detail about the left eye scar must remain visible when visor boots up.
It's not just an injury, it's a symbol, a constant reminder of the failure to contain the threat, yes, but also the source of her future resolve, that cold, hard edge.
That final shot of her in the wreckage, touching the gash, her expression shifting from shock, maybe disbelief, into this cold determination. The Tokyo event cements her identity. It forces her to evolve from just a warrior into a strategist dealing with threats on an economic planetary scale.
Let's also touch on the elemental clash itself, the symbolism, the philosophy baked into their very nature.
It confirms the duality. Leviathan, abyssal, oceanic, the cyan bioluminescence, serpentine grace. A creature of pressure, maybe designed for harvesting or consumption.
Versus Magmox, Terran, obsidian, molten heat, the crushing weight of a behemoth, seismic power, geological permanence, maybe representing restoration or reclaiming territory.
And their collision isn't just two bodies hitting each other. The data shows the Earth itself becomes part of the Titan's rhythm.
How so?
Fissures opening up, structural collapse across the harbor. It wasn't just from the impacts, it was recorded as harmonic stress, generated by the synchronized energy fields interacting.
So the sheer existence of their interaction, their dialogue, is warping the physical world around them. It implies their power isn't just physical strength, it's environmental manipulation. They're shifting the ground under our feet just by talking, essentially.
Which brings us to the macro analysis, moving beyond the immediate event to the patterns. The scientific data points that hint at intelligence, coordination, things potentially more terrifying than the destruction itself.
The key organizing principle seems to be resonance. Our own GDF systems, built for human scale, started picking up Titan activity through energy outputs that weren't random. They had structure.
Right. Take Leviathan's hydrocutter weapon priming. The energy signature wasn't just a weapon charging. Analysis identified it as scanning the bay itself.
Scanning. So it's dynamically reading the environment. It's part weapon, part geological sensor array.
Exactly. And again, that bioluminescence, it wasn't just light. Analysts managed to map it into a bioluminescence grid. Structured, repeatable output. That implies directed energy use. Intelligence.
But the absolute core of Thorne's analysis, the thing that ties it all together, is that dual signal synchronization.
Yes. That moment just before the big clash when they converge in midair. GDF sensors recorded their opposing energy cores, Leviathan's cyan, Magmox's orange, rotating in synchronized counterspin.
Synchronized during what looks like a death match. That's counterintuitive.
Deeply counterintuitive. If it's pure kill or be killed aggression, why synchronize? It strongly suggests coordination. Or maybe they're maintaining some kind of necessary balance, a fundamental planetary mechanism that requires both abyssal and Terran alphas operating in concert, even violently.
So less a fight to the death, more like a catastrophic engineering project or system maintenance.
That's one interpretation, which leads directly to maybe the most paradigm-shattering conclusion Tanaka and Thorne tentatively reached.
The idea that the Titans are actively using human technology, leveraging it for their own purposes.
Think about it. Their hypothesis. The massive global energy grid, the containment systems the GDF built, our entire multi-trillion-dollar defense network might be functioning as a broadcast relay for them, or a stabilizer for their own planetary-scale systems.
So our cage is their amplifier.
Essentially, yes. Our defenses are just infrastructure for their conversation, or their conflict, or whatever this is.
It reframes our entire military-industrial complex as involuntary planetary maintenance. We built the scaffolding, and they're using it to conduct their own business, louder, faster, farther.
It's the ultimate proof of our fragility, our functional irrelevance on their scale.
And the physical damage hammers that home. The climax of the collision leveling the harbor, tossing a GDF destroyer like a bath toy. It proves our best naval assets, our air power. It's meaningless in a direct fight.
We're simply not operating on the same timescale. The environmental effects confirm that. Seawater temps spiking, localized fog banks forming instantly, the sheer volume of displaced water.
These aren't side effects of a fight. They're the normal atmospheric wake of forces that move continents. They treat our oceans and atmosphere like furniture.
And if we connect this back to the broader Titan economy established in the source files, Terrans like Magmox aiming to restore or regain territory, abyssals like Leviathan focused on consume or harvest resources.
Then this first emergence sets the stage. It confirms the conflict is fundamentally about Earth's resources. A war for Earth, not a war against humanity specifically.
We're just in the way. Consuming resources they need, occupying land they require, we're an obstacle to be cleared before their real business can continue, an environmental hazard from their perspective.
Okay, so let's recap the key intelligence takeaways from this Tokyo event debrief. Pillar 1, Tanaka's realization. The chaos isn't random. It's driven by an internal, structured rivalry. We're not the target.
Pillar 2, Thorne's evidence. Communication, frequency synchronization, pattern recognition. And the horrifying possibility they're hijacking our own GDF systems.
And Pillar 3, Restova's Crucible. The necessary, painful transition from decisive warrior to a strategist focused purely on survival, observation, and data recovery in the face of overwhelming power.
The bottom line for GDF Command, for you, Analyst, is that we are now a reactive force. Clinging to the edges, our mission has shifted. It's no longer about winning a war of survival. It's about a desperate, morally complex struggle just to remain relevant in a world we fundamentally do not control.
The Titans aren't just monsters. The data suggests they're complex geological state actors with objectives, with systems, operating on a scale we can barely comprehend.
Their actions, however destructive they seem to us, appear systematic from their perspective. Planetary resource management, perhaps.
Which brings us to the final unsettling question we have to leave you with. Something to consider as you process these files. If Tanaka and Thorne are right, if the data truly indicates that Leviathan and Magmox weren't just engaging in mindless destruction, but that their clash, their convergence, constituted some form of complex, synchronized dialogue.
Then what does that make us? What does it mean for humanity? That our entire existence, our cities, our technology, our defenses, our noise is just catastrophic static. Just interference interrupting an ancient planetary conversation. Are we even fighting for survival, or are we just trying to get the universe to notice we're here before it tunes us out completely?